Tottenham. What is going on at Tottenham? I've not done a video on Tottenham for probably a month now because, to be honest, you've been playing poorly and the transfer news around you hasn't been very, credible. But all of a sudden, we've got some credible reports coming out about Tottenham, their transfer targets for next season, how they're going to back Ange. And I think, well, yeah, this end of the season hasn't been great for Tottenham and they're playing pretty bad. I think, there's a lot of negativity around Tottenham. That's a bit too negative, get behind Ange, go into next season with a good transfer window, and then that's when you can judge the manager a little bit more when he's had more of his players in the second transfer window. And in today's video, we're going to talk about while Tottenham fans should be a little bit more excited. Yes, the season has kind of crashed and this and that, but we're going to talk about some of your transfer targets, break it down, some of Tottenham's plans, 12 players out. We're going to break down what Tottenham could do this summer, where they'll be next season, and everything on Tottenham. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new and share the video. Here are some of the players that have been linked with Tottenham, and I've put them in brackets of price range. Anyone in red, I don't see happening. Anyone in orange could be a bit of a push. We know that Tottenham like a bit of a bargain. But what we do know about Tottenham is financially they are in a very good position. And this is why Tottenham fans, I think, should be a little bit more excited about next season. You're probably finishing Europa League. You get to play young players in Europa League. You've got more chance of winning Europa League than Champions League. That could be a trophy for Tottenham. But you also are got to be excited because most Premier League teams are not in a good position with PSR and all of that. Tottenham are, and Tottenham can capitalise that, getting deals done early because they won't have competition, buying players because everyone else can be focused on selling players, maybe getting a few bargains. And Tottenham, one thing, they like a bargain. Sarr, a doggy, bargain. Vicario, bargain. Mickey van der Ven, bargain. So let's break it down because Tottenham are going to need to rebuild. They've fallen off this season. I'm a Manchester United fan, and to be honest, the last 3 or 4 times I've watched Tottenham, you're playing like Manchester United. Like you have been bad. Not as bad as us, but you've gone from being really good to... But I reckon Ange Postecoglou is a good manager, and I reckon if you back him, he can do some stuff. And I will do a video at the end of May in more detail with some guests talking about Tottenham. But let's break down the news. The club at Tottenham is determined to give Ange the support he needs to build his image. And that's fair enough. I think Ange needs some more players in. He's not got even half of his squad to see what he's going to do. He's one of those managers that normally gets better as time goes on. And Spurs have identified a dozen players that they're willing to listen to offers for this summer. I think Spurs will be brutal if they can and sell maybe 10, 11, 12 players. Well, Spurs have a lot of players they can sell. This is just me breaking it down on what I think will happen. And look, I know I've missed half of the players that are on loan and half of the young ones. We will dive into that. But Real, I think they'll sell. I think if I'm Tottenham, I'd look to sell Real, but I put him in 50-50. Sessegnon, they'll sell. Davies, again, I put him 50-50, but I think Tottenham will sell him. Centre-backs, fine, but they've only got 3. I think Skip and Højbjerg, they will sell. I think Lo Celso's 50-50. I think there's an all right player in Lo Celso, but I think he'll want to go, and that's understandable. Bissouma's one that they could cash in on, but only if a big bid comes in. From what I'm hearing, Bissouma and Richarlison could leave Spurs if they get a bid they want. So Man United are in this kind of position with Maguire and McTominay because we've got to sell like 90% of our squad because it's been awful. Like Casemiro and Eriksen's legs have fallen off. Basically, we still want to sell Maguire and McTominay, but because all of our other players' legs have fallen off, we might have to keep Maguire and McTominay unless we get a good bid for them. And I think Tottenham in that position with Richarlison, who I think has had a decent season-ish, and Bissouma that started well but has fallen off. I think they'll only sell if they get a big offer because they know that they can provide value to the team. I think Gil will go and he looks like he's going to be offers. I think they won't keep Werner. I heard a report actually today that Tottenham will make a decision on Werner once they've brought in an attacker. I think Kulu and Johnson could be squad players. I wouldn't be surprised if they sold Solomon, but he's new enough that I think he's a squad player, to be honest, and not really had much time to play. Dyer will obviously go. Perisic will go. I put Reguilon as 50-50 because he's actually been decent at Brentford and he was all right at Manchester United for us. Didn't play loads for United, but he was not bad for us. And I think potentially maybe you bring in a right back and you keep one of Davies and Reguilon to be back up left back. I think Reguilon will go because it doesn't feel like Ange likes him. Spence Tanganga on Ndombele, I assume go. Phillips, Villiers, Divine, loan. They've had some good players at Plymouth, so yeah, they'll be on loan. I think that's getting renewed, and then Rodon I think will go, having a good season on loan, but I put him in orange because Spurs have 3 centre backs, so they might be like, okay, let's just bring him back as a 4th. They might do that if they're a bit unorganised. And Bergvall's obviously incoming, who I think would be a squad player. So out, Ben Davies is one they will listen to offers for. Højbjerg, Real, Bissouma could be ones they listen for offers for. Richarlison could be one they listen for offers for. And this is me basing it off who I think they should loan and sell. These are probably players that they'll probably loan out. And then these are obviously players that I think they will sell as well. I think Bissouma would depend on the price. It looks like they might sell Richarlison. If I was a Spurs fan, I'd probably keep Richarlison for another year. I don't think he's that bad. I think he's actually been all right this season. And I think if you don't get a striker, I assume you will get a striker, it's Son or Richarlison. So you need someone to back up Son. I assume Gil leaves Tottenham, and I assume Højbjerg leaves Tottenham, and I assume that Skip will leave Tottenham. And this is sort of updates from Fabrizio Romano, who then went into the ins, and that's what we're going to talk about, because today's video is Tottenham's transfer targets, and we're going to talk in detail about some of their transfer targets, who are the most realistic, and why Tottenham fans should be positive, because I do think they've got some really, really good transfer targets. Obviously, the transfer target seems to be winger and midfielder. I think that's where they'll spend big on a winger, and I think they'll spend big on a midfielder. I think they'll do a little backup, 15, 20 million deals for a centre-back and a right-back. And then I think they will look for a striker. And Ange Postecoglou would like to sign out an out striker. I think Tottenham spend 30 to 50 million on the winger, midfield and striker position. And I think then the other positions they spend only a little bit on. Just, Daniel Levy, Tottenham, all of that. So I think Tottenham will probably send a striker, right wing DM, and then get centre-back and full-back cover. In my opinion, they should get a striker, a right winger, DM, and then full-back cover for both sides. You could argue actually a backup left wing as well. But I think, for me, that's what Tottenham will probably do. So let's talk about the players that are linked with Tottenham Hotspur. Let's talk about some of their transfer targets. This isn't all of their transfer targets. Some of the players who aren't on this list I'm going to talk about because I just think they would be good for Tottenham, but they haven't super been linked to Tottenham. You get what I'm saying? These are players that have been linked to Tottenham. Obviously, doesn't mean that Tottenham are actually interested in half of these players. Anyone just links a player to a club. Oh, there we go. Here's a couple of clicks as well. But I think they will go for a cheap fullback. All the fullbacks they've been linked to is in that 15 million range. All the centre-backs they've been linked to, bar Calafiori, has sort of been under £25 million, apart from Simicum, but I don't think that's going to happen. To be honest, anyone in orange and red, I don't see happening. The only ones are maybe orange you see happening is a Gibbs White or an Eze, but I think they know they need a 6 more than an 8. So yeah, I think they'll be looking at those yellow-green type players as well. I really do like the name of a lot of these players on this list, but I'm trying to be realistic as possible. Marmoush of Frankfurt has been linked to Tottenham a lot lately. That's one to keep an eye on. And Romana did say that, Pedro Neto is one to keep an eye on. Rooney Bargi is one to keep an eye on for sure. Atalanta midfielder Ederson could be difficult because Coop Miners will go. They've been looking at Daniel Rigg of West Ham. I think Tottenham will make a couple little signings that may be under 10 million for young players like they seem to do, and then send them out on loan and develop them. I think there could be a few names that no one's really heard of that they go for. But what would I do? Because I'm going to break down what I think Tottenham should do based off their transfer target. So the striker transfer target I picked out for Tottenham is Sesko, because I think Tottenham need a long-term striker. I don't think Son is a long-term striker. Richarlison hit and miss. And I think Sesko, £43 million release clause, 20 years of age, his ceiling, his potential. You've got to replace Harry Kane. Sesko's who you're going with. For me, that's who Tottenham should go with. Gyökeres is out of budget. Isak's out of budget. 43 million release clause for someone that has one of the highest ceilings in football. 16 goals and 20 starts for RB Leipzig this season, averaging a goal contribution, I believe, every 108 minutes this season. But he is clinical. Brendan Johnson delivers some good crosses down the byline. He is there. He is clinical. Son can deliver crosses down the byline. Sesko is good in the box. He's clinical. He's got good box instinct. But what I like about Sesko, and this is something that Haaland does, is someone that's, when there's space, when you kick the ball into space, they are fast, they are rapid, they're athletically a monster. They can run into that space and make things happen. Sesko, you kick the ball into behind. Tottenham want to get someone in transition. Sesko running into space. He's 6'5". He's tall, he's fast, he's physical. He's like the physical monster going into space. He's got that physical presence in the box, which would help Tottenham with set pieces. But also he's very intelligent. Not only is he good in the box, not only is he good at running, not only can he link up, hold up, help all round play, but he's very intelligent. He's very good at finding space, running into space, but making runs to open up space for his teammates. He's done a really good job at that at RB Leipzig. He's really coming on and developing. And I do think that while Tottenham have dropped off the second half of the season, I think Ange is a good manager for developing players. I think Onogi's really developed. I think Porro's come on leaps and bounds this season. I know in general Spurs have dropped off. But even Sarr, I think he's dropped off a bit, but he was really good. And I think when Spurs as a team have dropped off, individuals then drop off as part of that. But I think Spurs will be back next season as well. He's very good in tight spaces. He leads the press well, good work rate. And of course, just a super high ceiling. Look, Harry Kane for me is the best striker in football right now. He's better than Haaland for me. You're never going to find Harry Kane. You're never going to be able to afford Harry Kane. But if you're talking to someone that has a ceiling that could maybe one day be Harry Kane level, that is Sesko. I don't know if it'll ever be Harry Kane level, but he has the ability to be a world-class striker. Looking at Sesko here, and I did a video on why Man United should look at Sesko, hence why it's being compared to Man United players and not Tottenham players. But Sesko's, goals and assists per 90 in league compared to all of Man United's players, it gives you an indication of, yes, he is playing in the Bundesliga, but when you actually look at that, it could be a Bayern Dortmund Champions League final, Bayern Munich games tonight. When you look at the fact that Leverkusen are probably going to go to Europa League final, if you look at how good Germany's been in Europe, the German league seems to be pretty good this season. So to be fair to Sesko, you can look at it like that. But they also need a winger, and I've gone with Niko Williams. Now, I think Neto is great, but he's injury prone, and Wolves reportedly want like 70 million, and I don't think Tottenham will do that. Niko Williams, there's going to be a lot more competition because he has a 43 million release clause. But with Niko Williams, he can play left and right wing, and I think Tottenham need that versatility. You can play Son central and stick him on the right, or stick him on the left, or you can play Son on the left, stick him on the right. You can play Sesko up top. You could have a front three of Son, Sesko, Williams, which could be good, or you could have a front three of Williams, Son, and Brennan Johnson if you want a little bit of rotation in there, or even Williams, Son, Richarlison. Just a bit more flexibility there. Maybe Werner if you keep him. But you can play left wing, you can play right wing, and in 29 starts, he has 23 goal contributions, 16 of those being assists. He creates, he's very good. But the thing is, I look at sort of players like Kuru and Maddison, they're quite creative players, and they're very good in the half spaces. Niko Williams is someone that's good in the half spaces, but he gives Tottenham a different dynamic. He's more similar to Brennan Johnson in the sense of he's very good at running into space, going down byline, dribbling, putting in crosses, dribbling in. 1v1, he is arguably probably one of the best wingers in the world right now. He's very good at eating up space and will like to transition against other teams. He needs players that can cover large amounts of space, whether it's tracking back and work rate, which he's got, or possessing the ball forward. As a ball carrier, as someone that's good at dribbling into large spaces, as someone that is good 1v1, as someone that can shoot the ball, as someone that can pass the ball. Niko Williams is that guy. He's technically very good, and also for a 21-year-old, his decision-making is good, and yet again, he's a great seeding. And these are obviously his statistics, and of course, some of these are lower. This is versus attacking midfielders and wingers. He's a young player, but you look at assists, 96th percentile, shot creating actions, 79th percentile, progressive carries, 91st percentile, successful take-ons, 95th percentile, touches in attacking penalty box, and he does win penalties, 77th percentile, progressive passing record, 90th percentile. He gets the ball, he goes forward. He's got a lot of good attributes that Spurs will be looking at. Potentially, Spurs may look at two wingers if they, sell Richarlison, sell Solomon, Werner doesn't stay. They'll probably be looking at another winger. Sule, who's Juventus but on loan, very, very good player. Juventus are willing to sell him for £20 million. He's 20 years of age. He's brilliant season. Another one that Tottenham might look at, and apparently he's available for 25 million, but I think he's going to be available for 40, 50 million. But he's an 18-year-old wonder kid at Stade Reims. Doué, been unbelievable, can play left wing, can play attacking midfield. I think he's one that a lot of top clubs will be all over. He's sort of the next wonder kid that can play out wide, that can play in the middle. Maybe that's someone Tottenham go for, but he's going to be a little bit more expensive than the likes of Bergvall because he's had a really good season and a lot of top clubs are in for him. Now, midfield signing. Now, for me, I think Tottenham need a DM. I really think Tottenham do need to go out there and get a DM signing. Because I don't think Bissouma's been consistent enough. And while, to be honest, Maddison, Benzema and Sarr haven't been consistent enough, they are better further up. And I think that there is a good player in Sarr, there's a good player in Bergvall, there's a good player in Maddison, there's a good player in Benzema, because we've seen it at Tottenham. But they need that number 6 that's going to unlock them. Now, I don't know loads about Angelo Stiller, but when I watched him play Bayern Munich, he was fantastic. I thought, you know what, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy. The more I've watched and kept an eye on him, I've been really impressed. I think there's good options out there, but some are going to be expensive. Varela will be expensive. I think Weaver could have competition. Amadou Onana is going to be overpriced. Fofana is going to, have a lot of competition. Stiller might be a bit more expensive, but I think as a number 6 and someone that is good on the ball, and I think about Ange Postecoglou's modern style of play, I think this could be a really good option for Tottenham. He has been linked to Tottenham a little bit, but it's been very, I think, forced links for just clicks rather than actual credible links, whereas a lot of the other players we've spoken about have been more credibly links. Like Niko Williams and Sesko have actually been linked to Tottenham by more credible sources. But he's a very smart midfielder, and what he's good at is all phases of midfield. He's very versatile, but he's a smart midfielder in all phases. He's good on the ball. He's able to break lines. He's able to pass. He's press resistant. He can play Ange's style of play on the ball. He's very good at playing a modern approach to Ange ball, kind of football on the ball, press resistant, move the ball, does all of that which Ange will want. But I think he reads the game very well. He's able to cover large spaces off the ball. And I think when he reads the game so well, when he's so intelligent, what Tottenham do is sometimes their midfield structures a bit, oh no, you've left Romero and Mickey van der Ven exposed. Because the mad thing is, Tottenham might concede mass amounts of goals and barely keep clean sheets, but Romero and Mickey van der Ven have probably been two of their best players this season, because those problems come from structure in midfield. And I think they need a DM that's able to read the game, help the rest defence cut out passing lanes, intercept the ball. And I think Stiller has possessed traits that he could be able to do that. He's got a very good, intelligent understanding of the game. He ranks first for under 23 midfielders in forward passes, progressive passes in the final third, and then third for long passes, interceptions. On the ball, he's going to be one of the best. He's a bit like Rodri, great on the ball. Off the ball, which is probably Tottenham's bigger problem in midfield, he's definitely got room for development there, and there could be question marks. Is he good enough off the ball? But I think Ange wants someone that's good on the ball, because he has the ability off the ball, but he also wants someone with the ability on the ball, and he's definitely got the ability on the ball, and I think he's got the understanding and ability off the ball. I saw a really good thread on this player. I'm not going to deep dive into the thread because it's not my thread, it's someone else's work. And if you want to know more about Stiller, I would read this thread by Pano Stout. He speaks about why he's so good, composure, his agility, his ability to adjust out of position, out of possession, his awareness of role and instructions given. Very, I think, intelligent player. And I think Ange Postecoglou will need intelligent players at Tottenham next season, modern intelligence players. I think he's the kind of guy that a modern manager and the way the Premier League's moving will want. But that brings me into the final slide. Let's say they get Niko Williams and Sesko for 85 million combined, and they go and spend 50 million on DM. I don't know if Tottenham will do that. They're not going to have much budget left. Now, I think Tosin would be perfect for Tottenham, but I think he's going to Newcastle. But I think if you can get Tosin on a free, that is what you want centre-back depth done, because he's very good on the ball. He's fast. He's physical. He's, for me, the perfect third centre-back for any top Premier League club, because he's Premier League proven. He's 26. He's very good on the ball. He can play out from the back, but off the ball, he's so difficult to beat. He's good at set pieces. That's something Tottenham need as well. And then I've gone with the right back, Alfie Doughty. I think Premier League proven, young right back. Luton have had some good players this season. He's been one of the standout players. I think if Luton go down as well, he's definitely someone able to stay in the Premier League. You could look at Kyle Walker-Peters as well, but I think maybe a 15 million right back, someone that you know can do it in the Premier League, that can give Porro a bit of competition, because probably better than Emerson. I think that's what you want. So that is what I think Tottenham should do. And this is my sort of video talking about why Tottenham should be somewhat excited ahead of next season, because they have been linked to some really good players here. And obviously they're not going to sign exactly who I think they're going to sign, and they'll probably sign someone that's not on this list. But even like Rooney Bargi's a good player. Jimenez of Feyenoord's a good player. You know, they could bring in Sule, they could bring in Musa, they could bring in Doué, they could bring in a lot of players. Lukami's a really good player at centre back. They could bring in a lot of good players. They could go for an Eze. And I think, you know, Tottenham fans, yeah, the season's ended badly and all of that, but I do think that you'll be in a good place next year if you have a good window. And I think with your financial, you know, position being good, and Tottenham definitely improving the transfer market, doing some good smart deals, I think that Tottenham will have shown progress this season, although this weird drop-off at the end. And I think Tottenham will be in track for a good season next year. I really do. I really do. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. See you next time. Bye.